we will be talking about intuition. However, more than intuition, before we get to intuition, I want to ask you a question, if I may just get some simple feedback. What is of interest to you regarding intuition? Like, what made you want to find out more about intuition? Anyone would like to? Yeah, go ahead, Ronald. Yeah, sure.
I'm finding that I'd like to be less ego-driven and more intuitive.
Okay, good. Who else? Who else would like to say what interests them about the intuition?
I'd like to be more sensitive to insights, like allowing more insights or knowing or allowing my essential nature to inform me and not listen so much to the chatter that's going on.
So sort of an inner peace, Peggy, would you say?
Yeah, inner
Inner
peace.
clarity?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. And Ronald, you would say something similar to the effect of less ego-driven, which means that you're looking at something beyond that. Any other person want to say what interests them about tapping into the intuition? Welcome, Shahid. Nice to see you here. Is it Shahid or is it his wife? Go ahead, Otto.
I have learned the hard way to listen more to my intuition. Whenever I ignored it, the outcome was then that I say, why I didn't listen to my intuition. And so when getting older, we are more aware and more conscious to listen to our intuition,
right?
Our inner voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to add on? And then I want to talk a little bit about it.
Maybe, can I ask something?
Yes. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Because how I actually came to even that point that intuition could serve us in our decision making or something, I researched and I found out from the psychological perspective that there are types of people, their decision making is made based on introverted or extroverted intuition, and there is a difference between that, yeah. And it's even like our, everything influences how we decide and why and how it's combined and what is the result of it, yeah. So there are big differences between people, how they think, and that what was actually the point which was really interesting to me, yeah, how the people are thinking, what they are using for their decision making, not only while working or just in daily life. And
okay, good, Olga, thank you for that input. So guys, if we can agree to get to the final result, if we learn a new way of thinking, if we learn a new way of analyzing, a new way of learning, of understanding, perceiving, that will lead to what? More success, better relationships, inner peace, joy, right? The reason why we do what we do is always goal-driven. Nobody does things for the sake of doing something. There is always a reason and ultimate goal. So could we say that the ultimate goal of learning, working, relationships, children, jobs, health, sickness, all the rest of it is happiness? As a conclusion, we want to arrive at a stage of happiness is a very simple word, okay? But a feeling of joy, a feeling of loving life, a feeling of being complete, of whole. Would that be correct as an assumption? Yes, Nicola?
I was going to say, for me also, it's all about inner peace. it's being the best version of myself, using my intuition when I'm with other people. I can get a good vibe from them. I feel people's energy. But for me, it's true happiness and to have that inner peace, whoever I'm with, if it's my family, my friends, a partner, or anybody I meet on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, that's
I
excellent.
tap into my intuition to get that vibe, if I'm going to gel with that person, if they're on the same frequency to me. That's what I use my intuition for, and also decision making.
Right. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Nicola. So we have again all those things that you mentioned would lead to a greater sense of inner peace, contentment, happiness, joy. Okay. Nobody's doing anything to get more pain. It has a contrast to it so that you can relate to it. Like, I'm doing this because I really want to suffer through life. Nobody's doing it for that reason. So because we're wired for two things: pain avoidance or pleasure seeking. There's nothing else we do really from a you could say from an instinctive perspective. Now, if instinct, intuition, inner knowing, sixth sense, all of the rest of it is inherent in us, right? It's already inherent in us. It's there. But we don't know how to listen to it. What's in the way of listening to that? Why can't we hear it? We're talking about the word hear here, but it's not just hearing, feeling, seeing, because we talk about feeling, we're talking about feedback from either the gut, from the skin, from the body. Seeing could be the third eye, or that's the focus on the pineal gland, seeing beyond what we're supposed to see. All the different types of intuitive centers. I mean, there's 7 different energy centers in our body with their own consciousness, if you break them up, right? But why can't we hear what they're saying? What's in the way of it?
I would think our
Like we're sitting
intellect
there,
gets in
we're
the
sitting
way.
there. Sorry, Ronald?
I think our intellect can get in the way. Failure, doubt, all these other things will contradict your natural knowing and awareness.
All right, so where
Our
does all those
experiences.
things of doubt and all these things you mentioned, where do they arise? Doubt, where does doubt arise from? The body or from somewhere else?
The mind.
The mind. So the mind would basically constitute thought then, right?
Yes, thought.
Celine, I'll let you comment in a second. I just want to sort of build up a bit of a picture here. So we have this inbuilt knowledge of within us, and then we have these thoughts that give us contradictions. So, for instance, I find someone attractive. I want to get married to them, right? Or these days, that's not even really the strongest consideration. I want to have an affair with them. I want to have, go out on a date with them. So now we say, I like this person, right? Now, at that moment, something steps in to raise a question, right? And what is that that's raising the question? Is it a feeling or is it a thought? Right? What comes up? Obviously, a feeling comes up first, right? Because you're saying, I like this person, but. So what if you can just listen to your internal processes? You see, if you don't know how your system functions, all of it together, then you're not going to get to know what's actually going on, right? Because you've got to know yourself. In any spiritual teaching, in any teaching of anything that's of any value, know thyself. Religious teaching, it's all the fundamental thing. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, right? Now, know thyself doesn't mean I'm Rashad. Oh, I know myself. Let's get on with it. No. What's going on in me? So then I'm attracted to someone and I'm thinking about being with them or not being with them. Now something arises in me. Where does it arise from? So the first initial point of feeling would arise somewhere in the belly. People say I have butterflies in my stomach because I'm attracted to this person. Women have it more than men. I don't think men get butterflies in the stomach. Sergio, do you get butterflies in your stomach? I mean, Maria's on the call, but yeah. Otto, do you have any butterflies in your stomach when you fell in love? We'll talk about that.
I get butterflies in my stomach.
Oh, so, Shade, when you meet a pretty girl, is your wife not around you? Normally she joins the call. I'm surprised.
Yes, she's right next to me, and I got butterflies in my stomach right now.
Yeah, but that's because she's with you. No, that's cheap. That's cheap.
No, I get it.
That's fake romanticism. That's just you're just kind of brownie points on the open air. Shayla, that's unacceptable. You should slap him for that.
Gut feeling, dude. Gut feeling.
Okay. So then a feeling arises, and that we would see. People like to give names, so we'll go with names. But after a while, you realize there are no names. But let's go with names and say that arises in the stomach, right? It was a feeling that I had, the butterflies in my stomach. Now the butterflies arise. Now, before you want to move, remember pain avoidance or pleasure seeking. So the butterflies say pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Something else is in you, say pain avoidance. Now what happens? The past steps in, right? And it says, hold on a second. He could be the same as a bastard that cheated on me, right? Immediately, mind steps in, past steps in. So you take a step back. Now you say, I don't know what my intuition is saying, because I really like the guy. He seems so nice, but something in me is telling me not to go ahead with him or to go out with him. Now, is the intuition going to answer that question? Think about it. Think about this. Is the intuition going to say to you, if you sit quietly, intuition, should I marry this guy? It's going to go yes. Is it really going to do that? Remember that's what I want you to understand, how you're interpreting the body mechanism. The body is composed of so many different layers of baggage, of emotional conditioning, of history. Some of the history didn't even start with you. You may have a feeling of this person being the certain way, but this could be the feeling that your mom had before she gave birth to you. And you say, well, that doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Now you're following a particular pattern. It's not even your pattern. So you say, or you go ahead and decide to marry him. And then 3 years later, you'll say, I don't know what I was thinking. Right? Because I thought about it, I evaluated it, and my heart said it was the right thing. And then, he ended up cheating on me. Right? I was with someone today, a client of mine, and I said, talking about his mom and the type of relationships she's been in. So she left her husband because he wouldn't do certain things for her emotionally. And I said, they now passed away, both parents. And I said, tell me something. What type of man did your mother go for? Was there a particular pattern? So this was the complaint. My mom said, my dad is always emotionally unavailable, and he doesn't know how to feel and give love, and he's weak. So I said to him, tell me, what was common? Because she ended up dating for quite a while. She never married again. She doesn't want to get hurt again. That's the other trick thing that is going on here, pain avoidance. They all were weak, and they all were emotionally unavailable. Now you say, how is that possible? This woman left the man because she was weak, because he was weak and emotionally unavailable. She goes out with another 12 guys who are all weak and emotionally unavailable. So now you say, my intuition's not right, so then I will choose a guy that's different. And I'm only using the relationships thing because it's a big one, right? I mean, Alfred Adler, the great psychologist, said all human problems stem from interpersonal relationship problems. All problems. Mom, dad, brother, sister, wife, father, mother, daughter, whatever. So if we don't get that right, then we haven't got anything. So now we say, I need to listen to my intuition, because my intuition is going to help me marry the right guy. No, it won't. That's not intuition. Okay, there's the pain body, or this built up patterns that are within us. And now they've proven this. I mean, Deepak Chopra did a beautiful article recently. Just the way we have a genetic past, like for instance, now they'll say, well, did your father and mother have heart disease, diabetes, or whatever? They now know that certain emotional characteristics are passed down through the lineage, right? And you find people that had come from broken homes, end up being from broken homes. You find, so then I said, tell me about your father. He was emotionally unavailable. Surprise, surprise. And I said, why was he like that? It's because his father was totally emotionally unavailable. And I said, guess what you are? Emotionally unavailable. Now you'd say, well, that's just coincidence. Okay, you can say that. But there is a pattern that keeps resurfacing again and again. So if you had to define what intuition is, because a lot of people have this idea, if I can tune into my third eye, then I can know how much money to make and where I can find a millionaire that will so I never have to work again. Right? That's not intuition. That is your desires, trying to move away from pain most of the time. So why do you want to get a better job? Because this job sucks. because that's pain avoidance. You're done with this job. You're going to go somewhere else. Why do you want to have a new relationship? Because you're not getting joy out of this relationship. So it's all pain avoidance. Now, pain avoidance sort of creates more of the same. You see the pain avoidance in this woman that I'm telling you about, with the mother wanting to get away from the man that was emotionally unavailable. What did she find? Another man that was emotionally unavailable. So by this is not where intuition comes in. Now, the whole thing about patterns and recognizing patterns is my speciality. It's what I do with my clients over and over again. And it works really well, because then they get this aha moment going, oh my God, wow, I didn't realize that I'm doing exactly the same. And it all happened with my wife. I did a post about it. My wife said to me, she says, you're becoming just like your father. And I got so angry with her. And I said, I'm nothing like my father, right? Of course, on the surface, I was trying to be the opposite to my father. But there were patterns that I was manifesting that were exactly the same as him. So the thing that you hate is the thing that you become. The thing that you hate is the thing that you become. Shade?
Yes, sir.
Did you raised your hand?
Mistake. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm on my
No
phone.
problem.
Load sharing.
Load shedding. Okay. Ronald, yes?
Regarding this situation of emotional problems stemming from parents, I was not emotionally attached to my parents. Their parents were not emotionally attached to their children, because I knew some of the grandparents, my grandparents. When my mother died, my father was going through great emotional turmoil. I could not comfort my father. There was that barrier. He was a weakened, broken man at the loss of his wife, but I could not embrace him and comfort him. I did not understand it at all. At that time, I was frozen. I regret that, but that's just because it was hereditary.
Right. Yeah. Yes and no. Right. I mean, yeah, I agree with you to a large extent. It's just, in your point, you were clarifying and confirming what I was saying about emotional unavailability being can be hereditary. So I'm not implying that everything our parents are is what we are. We inherit certain traits from them. And when this is one of my favorite quotes of Carl Jung, right? And he says, until you don't make the unconscious conscious, you'll call it fate. Like you'd say, how come I keep on attracting the same damn person? Like I'm trying to get away from it, right? Or the same type of job. Like I'm trying to get a new job. Or how come I keep on losing all my money? How come I attract all these people that are taking money away from me? Either way, that's an entirely different thing that I've spoken about in depth, and a lot of you are clients of mine, so you know exactly what I'm talking about directly. But intuition is a knowing within, and it's not concerned with your pain avoidance or pleasure seeking. It's not going to tell you where the best sushi in town is, or how to avoid the next terrible relationship. Intuition is going to guide you to your higher truth. So when they talk about a third eye, we're talking about dimensions of reality that are not seen in everyday experiences. As Lao Tzu says, the five senses delude us from reality. So when we look at the world through our ears, eyes, and the rest of our senses, we're only perceiving the world at one particular level. When we tune in with our intuition, now again, this is related to the pineal gland, but our intuition is not located. You see, I'm on the one hand, I'm very against using terms, but everybody loves terms. Everybody needs terms. So let's define some terms for you. So you have the heart center. The heart is, according to me and a lot of the ancient scholars, is the general. It leads, it commands, not the brain. And now science is catching up to it in all these different studies, Heart Math Institute and all the rest of it, saying that there's more neural connections going from the heart to the brain than then from the brain to the heart, which means that the heart's actually saying, hey, buddy, this is what you need to do. And in our modern day society, we've become brain-led, and that's why the confusion. So in summary, what I was saying early on, asking all these questions, is because we've made our thoughts, and by the way, thoughts are not in here. It's another trap that people don't know. No neuroscientist has ever opened a brain and found a thought, have they? So why do we insist that thoughts are in the brain? We don't know where the thoughts come from. We don't know where the thoughts reside. They come and they vanish, right? But when we talk about mind, we're talking about strong identification with the intellectual side, with the observation of chatter in the mind. If you close your eyes, if your eyes are open, you can hear there's a guy in your head and a girl in your head talking to you. Who is that? Have you ever questioned that? Have you ever sat in there going, who are you? You know, I think I should lose some weight. I think I should go to the gym. I really don't like that guy. Who's talking to you? Did you ever? You should try it. It's really spooky. And this is part of the path of the spiritual path, right? So one of my exercises that I get my clients to do is say, ask that person, who are you? Right? Because you're sitting there going, I felt so terrible. I should do that. No, I shouldn't do that. Why can't I sleep? What's going on? What happened? And then you stop and you go, who are you? And then you don't hear anything back. And then the moment you become unconscious, it just goes on chatting. Yeah, you can't sleep because, last night you didn't take this tablet and you didn't go to the gym. That's why your daughter hates you, because you do this and you do that. And you just realize that there's constant chatter going on. Right? And that's unique to us as a species, right? A tree doesn't sit there doing this thing, or a bird, or all the rest of the species, but we have that. But thoughts are not evil, okay? They're not evil. They're one of our most sophisticated, wonderful tools, because we can feel in our heart something and say, I feel love for humanity and I want to give back. And then you say, how can I do that best? Well, this is what's been done. And Otto and I have said, so much turmoil in the world right now and so much upheaval. Let us see if we can bring more people together, get them centered in their beings. So they're not all lost and fluffed all over the world. Now that couldn't have happened without thought. So let's not say thoughts are evil, even though it's chatting in my head. But who's leading the way here? Because what happens to most of the time is that 80% of our thoughts are wired for negative thinking. So 80% of our thoughts are looking at worst case scenario and dread, like, oh my God, what happens if that happens? It's not sitting there going, oh, what about a sense of adventure? Right? I'll marry this guy. If it doesn't work out, we'll have a baby and I'll marry another guy. Who talks like that? Right? Because this is a lifelong decision, especially for women, right? Men generally think like that, not about the baby part, but the one night, good night. And but so we're wired differently, right? But nobody's wired for adventure seeking. We're all wired for pain avoidance, right? So understand that. Now, if you want to get into tuning into your third eye, which is the thing, it's the real thing. Joe Dispenza, modern day neuroscientist, has done a lot of research on this particular gland, the pineal gland. It is where DMT is produced, and you can read up a lot of stuff said about DMT. And it is the location when you have psychedelics, you become in touch with the oneness of everything and everyone. That's the only way I can describe it to you, right? So you become aware of the infinite nature of you, of everyone, and it's quite awe-inspiring, and it's almost like a dream, but you're wide awake. Now, if you want a cheap thrill, then you just take some drugs and you can get that effect, right? The point is not to live in that realm, because that realm is available to you, which is the real realm. The realm of senses and thoughts are secondary. The realm of infinite intelligence, of the sacred geometry, of the patterns around us. Ronald, we talked a lot about Tesla, but he knew about energy, about frequency, about vibration, about all the rest of it. And and then the ancient Chinese masters knew about qi, and what they've done with qi, these are not all goofy concepts, woo-woo concepts. What they've done with qi, I mean, Tai Chi, you look at acupuncture and all the rest of it, they're healing some serious stuff in the real world as well. And then you talk about prana, moving life force, and all the rest of it. It's all available to us. But we can talk about it, and I can present information to you. But like all information, it does nothing but give you a cheap thrill, right? So information is probably one of the lowest forms of learning. The highest form of learning is by experience, which then leads to wisdom. Information leads to more information, and you're back in the same circle of experience. So if you want to get a deeper knowing of your essential nature, not of your job, of your work situation, which will eventually fall in line, you see. They're not going to be affected by this. People think that if I now going on the spiritual journey, and who's going to pay my bills, and who's going to take care of my baby and all this stuff. It's not like this one or the other thing. What you're ending up doing is that you're living in this world, entirely engaged in your work, in your family, in your life, except there's a new level of awareness within you. Now, for any of your intuition to arise, stillness has to arise from within, which means that you have to recognize that between one thought and the other, there is a space. Most of us don't know that. Many of us on the spiritual path know that there's a space between one thought and the other, right? But in that thought is the gap. Maria says, I'm starting to live in the gap now, which is really good. So if you drop into the gap between thoughts, you're no longer in thought for that moment, right? Because thoughts are persistent, 60,000 thoughts a day. Someone sat and counted them. They must have been very bored. But that's how many thoughts that we have all the time, right? So between that thought and another thought, there is a gap, right? And that gap is the moment of silence. Now, silence is not empty, right? And of course, now I'm telling you stuff that you've not experienced, and maybe some of you have. But until you don't experience that, you won't know what that is. So in order for you to develop intuition, in order for you to rise above the conditioned patterns that I talk about, the patterns that surface from before, the pain avoidance, the pleasure seeking, the suffering. You see, if you knew your infinite nature, and that you were divine, and that everything was going to happen exactly the way it was meant to happen, and that you'd be perfectly fine, and there's nothing to fear, would you be suffering? I don't think so, right? There wouldn't be. But suffering is caused by us not knowing. It's fear. What is worry? Worry is fear. What happens if this doesn't happen? That's fear. But if you knew for certain that you were going to be okay no matter what, and there was no fear, you would engage with life with a certain freedom, a certain ease, a certain joy, a certain jokiness. You see people who are, on the path of enlightenment, if you want to call it that. I don't like all these words. There's a lightness about them. And if there's no lightness about them, then they're not on any path. If you don't see them light, joyful, and at ease, and they look very serious, like I am right now, you should avoid them, right? Because it's not serious business. If you know that you're part of this infinite universe, and that your hand is being held at every moment, and you're being very serious, because thoughts are serious, right? But it's not really all that serious, right? So I think one of the signs. Is it my mic? I don't know whose mic. One of the signs of progress on your path is the lack of seriousness, and the lightness in your step, and the lightness and ease with which you encounter your journey. But as you go along, if things are getting more serious, and you're running out of time, and you're running out of money, and you're running out of health, and you're running out of friends, and you're running out of this, yeah, that's not enlightenment. Because what does the word enlightenment means? It means lightening the load, right? It means you're getting rid of layers, you're shedding, you're unlearning all these conditioned patterns that you have been living by. As the Zen master practice, you sit there, allow everything to be, and you just watch it go. So they say in Zen, you don't get more answers. You start losing the questions, right? You're like, well, why? And then you say, what's the point, right? So you start trusting more. So either way, all of this stuff can only be really done through practice. And that's why I suggest that you take, if you want to really take this work into something more meaningful, that you be with a group of people like we are doing on this masterclass, so that these information sessions will still happen, but they're only going to be very inspiring. I'm assuming they'll be very inspiring. Sharon, I'm doing my best, right? Sharon's laughing. She's like, speak for yourself. And then you'll be entertained, hopefully, and you'll be more informed. But it's not really going to do anything. You see, the transformation work requires you getting up in the morning, doing crazy stuff. Like most of us are so programmed to wake up in the morning, worry about our day, right? Oh my God, not another day, right? What's going to happen now, right? But if I tell you to jump out of bed, as many of my clients do, and say, yes, I'm alive, your husband, your wife, your children think you're nuts, right? Because it's a mad world out there. So you got to behave crazy. Because if you behave like the rest of these people, you're all nuts. The world is nuts. I mean, the only way to overcome the madness of the world is to be even more mad. There's no sane people left. That's my theory anyway. Maria, you disagree? Is your mic working? Ronald,
Is it?
yeah.
Can you hear
go,
me?
yeah. Say something, Maria. I'm talking too much.
What can I say? I'm just saying, when you are intuitive, I was thinking about vibrations and things like that, how you become more intuitive. So I found this vibration 963, which is the vibration of God, and that's the 369. 963 goes backwards. 963.
Okay, no,
and
that's different. Yeah.
That's what I found.
No, you're talking about the hertz. You're talking about the frequency. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's like emptying your mind and just tune into something more, I don't know, trust something that is no structure, no thought, no expectation, no. I'm trying to do that. It's very difficult because everything is goal, like you said, goal driven. You have to go somewhere, but if you just be, things might happen. Like, I have an example. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. I don't know. Maybe I'm off topic. But
No,
I was thinking that.
Yeah. Go on.
I was thinking that I wanted to rethink about life now that I'm here in Greece, because I have the time and I have a new awareness of who I am. I was telling Ronald about it. And yesterday I got a present from a friend who is a writer, and he wrote this book and he dedicated to me without telling me. So I'm now going to be reimagined by the children that read this book. So I am into this idea. So that's I don't have to do anything. It says here to Maria, to me. I don't know if you can see. So yeah, I am somewhere around in a book, but I was thinking of that. That came as a thought. I have to reimagine myself, and now I'm getting reimagined because people will see this is for Maria, which they think is a little child, really, because this is a children's book. So today I feel very free. I said I don't have to do anything. I think that's also intuitive, It's gonna, whatever will come my way,
Yeah, thank you, Maria. That was actually really useful, because that's one of the advantages of you recognizing yourself and your conditioned mind and your conditioned patterns, and you start surrendering and start trusting in life. These things emerge. I mean, Maria's a musicologist. She got a PhD in music, and we started talking about music, vibration, frequency, sacred geometry, and that's the reason why I came up with the course, because we were sitting there exploring this topic, and now she's looking at one frequency, and we're just like blown away at the possibilities. Because if you look at the shapes, the patterns, the sacred patterns, the self-repeating, it's almost like, if you want to call it God's formula that starts working in. You see these, you look at the spiral, and then we took the topic to time, and Maria and I have been working on these really. So we've been tying in spirituality and the spiritual teaching. We've been taking from the Chinese mystics, from the Indian mystics, and from some of the Persian mystics as well, tying that in with modern day physics, science, and then sacred geometry, frequencies, and like, wow, it's really another level of awareness. But of course, the point is, and then Maria said we should do something about it. And I've been putting it on hold, and I said, you know what? I think it's needed because of the strong association and people suffering in their heads, thinking that all of life is just between the two ears, right? The thing. I mean, it can actually, the weird thing is that you can actually listen to your thoughts, yet it's not speaking. You know, people say, I can listen to my thoughts, but what are you listening to it with? Because your ear's on the outside, right? But you say, I listen to my thoughts. What's listening to them? Did you ever think about that? Anyway, I don't want to confuse you guys, but yeah. Sharon, yes? Rosie, tell us.
I'll respond to any of that, sir.
Okay.
So, talking about enlightenment.
Sorry, Ronald. Ronald was first, but okay. Sorry, Rosie. Go ahead, Rosie, because you're a woman and Ronald's a gentleman, so you can go ahead and then I'll let Ronald. I'll speak on Ronald's behalf. Go ahead. Yeah.
It made me think of Sadhguru. Like every time I see him in a video or live, like it's barely like his feet are barely touching the ground to me. It's just so much joy, and he's so bright. Like I see a lot of colors around people, and he's definitely bright. So I think that's the thing. Like the lighter you are, the brighter you are, right? And you're just living in that blissful moment and spreading joy to the rest of the humans. And I find sacred patterns are most easily you connect best to them in nature, because that's all that is, right? So if you take a little walk in the woods, a tree bath, or just barefoot in the grass, it'll change your frequency like that, because that energy in those patterns, it just washes over you and cleanses you.
Well, you can see you have a gift of picking up those vibrations within you. So I would urge you to investigate them further. The problem with most people's innate intuition, and women are gifted with this, by the way. Men, it's like climbing the moon to get in touch with their intuition many of the times, because they're so thought-based. Women are not. Women can fly very easily because they are already so light in their being, and they're so open and so flexible, whereas men are very rigid. And that's why yoga was invented, not for women, by the way. Yoga was invented for men. Men were rigid and structured, and now, of course, men don't do it. They call it pansy. That's for women, right? And of course, women are doing it. They don't need it as much as the men do, right? It's to get the men to the yoga studios, not to the women. But so Sharon, yes, and talking on that, that's what Maria has also got. She's got this ability to. She's got pitch perfect. I mean, she can hear a sound and know exactly what that is, and is tuned in. If women have it, men have it. Women have it more, but women's intuition is generally pain avoidance. And men, it's pain avoidance. So they can pick up and say, I don't like that guy. They're very good at that. But what they're not good at is the trusting and the falling in love part. And that's part of our evolutionary process, because women are weaker and they need to be always. So women can recognize if a man is a threat or a friend or someone that can be within 5 seconds, whereas a man can take 30 seconds. Because it's not that important to him. So a lot of the women's feelings, gut feelings, are pain avoidance, which makes sense, right? Ronald?
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to celebrate Maria with her gift and the great blessing it's going to be. Oh, I knew about it, but I want to say just publicly to celebrate her for this gift. But I'd like to say with the thought is that if you were to count your thoughts, you have a thought, you recognize you have a thought, and then you have to have a thought to record the thought. So that's 3 thoughts automatically there.
There we go.
With all the micro thoughts that it requires, all the other thoughts that build the thought.
Okay, so you've done some pondering, because actually there's levels of types of thoughts, and if you listen very quietly, you'll pick them up.
The meta thoughts.
Yes. And that's where if you see, because if you stay tuned in, and of course we can't do this on a weekly type of thing, because it builds up. But if you stay quiet and you want to see where the voice is arising from, there are feelings that arise from your gut that make its way up. Now, to know whether it's coming from here or coming from your gut, you have to know the nature of your thoughts that arise from mind, because they're from conditioned patterns, and they'll speak a certain language. And thoughts that arise from your gut, they rise up and they pop into your head, and then you say them out of your mouth. And there are different types of thoughts. So you have, yes, Zubaida? I mentioned that. Do you want to speak, Savannah? Oh, Sharon, did you put your hand up again? We can't hear you. Your mic's off. Your mic went off.
Sorry. You observe your thoughts, right? Like
Yeah.
you can hear them and then ask yourself about them, right? Not just listen to them, but like take that moment of silence to, like you're saying, where is this coming from, and is this really?
It's a process that I would suggest you. There's a bit of a process to doing that, because it can become antagonistic, because remember, your thoughts are you. So there is the more simpler thing to do at this stage would be to simply just observe your thoughts, right? And just one thing to help you guys when you get onto a thing called the mind stream. So your mind has hijacked the situation, right? The pain, basically a feeling in you is so strong that the mind is taken over. Right? You can't sleep, and every second thought, it's just repetitive patterns, right? And it's taken over you. Anyone get that? Right? You become in a mind stream. Now, the easiest way out of a mind stream, which I found, and that's through my own experience, is start recounting the thought before the thought that you have. So in other words, you're sitting there going, I don't know if I should have a sip of water or wipe my nose. Right now, at that point, when you say, okay, this is enough, I need to stop, these thoughts are getting too much. Go, okay, fine. Let's just rewind what I was thinking about. So you go back on your thoughts and you say, okay, so I thought about wiping my nose, and then I thought about having a sip of water, and I thought about this. By the time you get to the fourth thing, thoughts hide away. They don't actually want you to make your way all the way back, and then you're out of the mind stream. It's weird, because the moment it's actually called shining the light of awareness onto your thoughts. So in other words, they're just coming like streaming, and pretending to be you, right? And you're just going with it. But what you're doing literally is you're going, what's going on here? And when you do that, thoughts just go, well, get out of the way, right? They don't want you to get into that. These thoughts want to remain as if though that you are your thoughts, right? But you're not your thoughts, right? You're the one watching your thoughts. Many people don't know this either. Many people are so strongly associated with their thoughts, end up killing their neighbors and doing awful kinds of things. Also, the one that we spoke about as well, is that they believe every thought that they have. And if you believe every thought that you have, and that's what I've been working with children as well. Yeah, exactly. They want to remain the master. They don't really want to remain the master. We make them the master. But your master is your awareness. Your awareness is the one that notices all of it. Notices your heart, notices your mind, notices your everything. Even your intuition is your awareness. And we'll talk about what the awareness is, but it has to sort of gradually build up as we go along. So it's a fascinating conversation and topic. And by all means, please, keep coming. I want to do a little exercise as well before we conclude. But it's too vast, and I tell you, it gets me very, very exciting. So Maria and I get quite excited. Don't get jealous, Sergio. I mean, I'm sure she fills you in on all of that. So Sergio's not too bothered. So as far as the intuition is concerned, since we've spoken about thoughts today, we'll do a little exercise about thoughts. But first, have you guys got any questions or comments? Anything you'd like to ask? Anything you'd like to say? Please feel free. Did we lose Celine? Yeah, we lost Celine. Okay. Anyone welcome to say anything you like? Winnie the Pooh said he was thinking about thinking. This is true, Ronald. This is true. Otto, any thoughts from your side? Oh, what's that, Sergio? The Tao of Pooh. Yeah. That was quick on demand there, Sergio. Nicely done.
I know, it's one I prepared earlier.
No, really? Okay.
No, it's a lovely book. I don't know if anyone's read it. It's the only real Taoist book that I've ever truly understood, that I haven't wanted to just throw into the dustbin. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, it's just, it explains it for someone with a very simple brain. It's an excellent book.
Sergio does not have a simple brain. If you had a simple brain, it would be much more easier to get through to you. Your brain is too complex, Sergio.
Yeah, well, live in hope.
No, Sergio is a genius. Otto, is your mic working?
Yes, work
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
I'm fully absorbed by listening to you, Richard. And I have to say, I have just learned a lot. And I can see that so clearly because you expressed that so wonderfully that is easy understandable. Where me or others were thinking in a loop about what is intuition and so on. You can bring that so wonderfully to the point that it's a gift. And I want to say thank you, Richard, for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It is more touchable and even I know more about myself just by listening how you explained intuition, feeling, thoughts, mind, how that works all together, you know.
Yeah.
But
No, you're welcome. It's
beautiful.
definitely part one of so much more. If we can bring to our awareness that grows like a tree. I mean, it grows and it grows, and then all of it becomes integrated into one organic thing. Like there are no parts, you see. At the top level, there are no parts. It's all one. Right now, if I say that to you, it'll sound like a Buddhist concept, right? Right. And the Sufi said, wherever you turn, there is the face of God. Right. But it is that, but you need to see the parts because we can't see all of it, right? Because we've been created with these senses and these thoughts. So we can't sit there and see all of it. But by knowing them, you start seeing, oh, this part's connected to this part and connected to this part, and it all starts coming together. And then the whole Tai Chi kind of symbol is when all of it sort of aligns together. And then you say, oh my God. But right now, if you say, oh my God, it's only going to be at orgasm. It's not really going to be the real, oh my God. Right? But the real, oh my God, is this, well, because they say that death is the major orgasm. Right? And sexual orgasm is the minor orgasm. They say that's what's happening, is that the body is actually, the soul is actually ejecting from the body, right? So I don't know if that was poetic enough for you or not, but yeah. But when you see the completeness and the wholeness of all these parts together, and you recognize that, because, you know, science catches up last minute to the party, right? Because science is backwards. You see, science relies on facts and logic, right? But not all scientists, because Ronald and I know about Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla says the secret of the universe lies in 369. Now Maria is listening to a frequency and the same vibrations in the numbers 369, except it's 693, or what was it? Whatever it was, 963. But where did they get their knowledge from? All these guys, even Einstein, they went east. But here's the funny thing. The east is looking west. They all want the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis and the good jobs at Google. And everyone from the west is saying, oh, we've done all of that. We want what you got. So it's this weird kind of thing. And one of the sages said, very soon, east and west will catch up and we'll all be the same. So integrated. The problem is that sameness is not always good. But the further back you go, in my experience, the more undiluted the knowledge is. So if you go, for instance, I went as far back as I could to get this knowledge and then fact check it all the way back. It's been, 10 years of my life research, just going as far back as possible, even to text in other languages, right? And then, like, for instance, the Upanishads go way back. And that's, you could say, where it all sort of started, this knowledges that came to us and slowly got diluted and then went to the Greeks and all over the world. But it's a fascinating world of intuitive knowledge. All of this leads you to get to know yourself. The point is, after all of this, you're not going to say, yes, I know about the Upanishads, chapter 3, verse 4. It's pointless knowing about that. Why do you want to know that? It's pointless. But if you know, because the Upanishad said that thought are one of our senses. Sight, sound, hearing, taste, smell, right? These are all senses. And thought is just number 6. But what we've done is that we look at the world only through thought. But you know, in native cultures, they'll smell you. They'll say, I don't trust this guy. How do they know that? Right? Maybe he didn't have a shower for 3 days, but that may be a dead giveaway. But that's not what they're smelling for. Because if you look at in the entire animal kingdom, the nose is very sophisticated, right? So would you say that the East and West philosophies can be likened to feminine and masculine energies? Yes, you could say that. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I mean, the Western mind is very masculine dominated, and the Eastern mind is, if you look at the Taoist, the Zen, yoga, they're all relying on the feminine. So the only way out of this mess, and a lot of the men will get pissed off, is that if we allow our feminine to arise more, all these men went eastwards, and even from the East, they said, no. If we need to get into this intuitive knowledge, we need to get to the womenness in us. And I'm not talking about a womenness as in our organs, allowing. And this is the problem. Women are have to assume the male-dominated role. So they're also fighting for their way, also pushing and shoving, also overthinking, and also doing all the things that haunt men. So, but the men have realized that the only way for us to get to that knowledge, stop thinking so much, stop pushing so much, stop fighting with everyone, stop being so ego-driven, right? And take on the qualities of the feminine, allowing, accepting, being flexible, being malleable. That's what Bruce Lee said. Be like water. What is water? Because what is a feminine quality? Here's Bruce Lee, this tough guy. Instead of him saying kick the shit out of everybody, be like a stone, like a rock, he's saying no. If you want to win over your enemies, you've got to be like water. The samurai were some of the most amazing warriors. It's when they took on the qualities of the teachings of Zen, right? You could say they created Zen, which is all very much. Now, when we talk feminine, this is not going into the whole gender stuff here. Nothing to do with that kind of stuff, right? It's not girl, boy, that kind of thing. It's the feminine. We are all united with various energies, male, female. So we've got to let them arise. Anything else, guys? And then we can do a bit of a exercise and conclude. So we're going to continue these sessions every second Saturday, and the masterclass will start. And then we will take whoever wants to do the masterclass on the intensive journey. It's a journey. We're going to go stage by stage to come out at the other side as deeply in tune with our highest self. If you want to call it that. There is no self, actually, but we can call it that for now. Any questions, comments? Okay. So then, if we can, just let's begin a little process of observation within. So we close our eyes, take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. All we're doing is taking awareness away from thoughts. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One more deep breath in. Hold it in. Deep breath out. Let it all out. Now see if you can maintain your concentration long enough to bring your awareness from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. In other words, follow your awareness. Your eyes are closed. How do you know you have toes? You can't see them right now. So now all your awareness, all your attention is on that spot where your toes are, but you don't know that they're there. This is the ability to move energy around. And if you can't do this, then you really can't tap into intuition at all. So bring all your awareness into the tips of your toes. Bring all your attention nowhere else but the tips of your toes. Your big toe. Move all that attention into your ankle. The whole bunch of your attention. Leave nothing behind. All your attention is in your ankle right now. And bring them up to your calves, to your knees. See how intensely you can feel your knees from your awareness and your attention. Can you make them glow? Can you change colors? Can you see the colors? Can you feel the vibration in your knees? Can you hear the sound of your knees? Bring them into your first center, your root chakra at the base of your spine, where your pelvic floor is. This connects you to the earth. Tune into this center of energy and awareness with all your attention. Now, when I ask you to imagine what color it is, this is not a thought. So tune in and watch what comes up. And in this simple way, you can tell if it's a conditioned pattern from your mind or that part of your body talking. What color is it? And whatever color comes up, don't take it as fact and say, where did that come from? And this is intuition. Get to know where it's coming from. Move your energy where your belly button is. It's a very important center. This is where, according to the Japanese, this is where your mind is, right here. This is where your whole life is formed, your hara. Tune in, and this is the womb area. This is the point of creation. It's a very important part. So tune into this area, feel the area, feel the color, feel the vibration, feel the language that it speaks, and ask it a question like, what color are you? Or how am I feeling? Your stomach relaxed? Did you let your breath out fully? In the West, we don't let the breath out fully. So take a deep breath in and let the breath out fully so the belly expands totally. Let all the tension go in your belly. Let it relax. Tune into the center. Bring your awareness to your solar plexus where your liver, kidneys are. This is your willpower, very lacking in the time of fear, your adrenals. There's no willpower here. Tune into it. Pay attention to it. See how it's feeling. Notice any energy, any vibration. When I say vibration, feel skin. Hear, just the way you hear thoughts in your head. They're not with your ears, but you hear them. Do the same thing with your solar plexus. What can you hear? Bring your attention to the general now, your heart, center of your chest. The king or the queen, the majesty, the ruler. Let it take center seat again. Its language is feelings. So recall feelings in here. And the sweeter the feeling, the better it feels. Science has found that there are the same neuroreceptors of smell in the heart. And scientists, why are there smell receptors in the heart? When we say something is sweet, because the heart actually smells it and tastes the sweetness. So feel the sweetness in your heart and allow the sweetness to arise. Give it your attention, just the way you put all your attention on your big toe. Bring every ounce of attention into the center of your chest. Let's make our way to the throat area, around your neck. This is where all the relationship problems stick around. Throat and neck, not being able to speak your truth. Feel this area, very important area. This is also co-creation. This is where your creativity comes from and you express it to the world. Many of us at work and places like that are not allowed to speak our truth. Tune into the center. Give it a voice. Make it feel free. It's so important. Center. Feel the tension and let it go in your neck. Bring your attention in the middle of your eyes. This is where the third eye is. Imagine you could look at the black space behind your eyes. Try to look behind your eyes. Don't strain. Just leave your attention, all of it here. Don't look for anything, because you're not going to be able to see the way you see the world from your eyes of senses. But rest your awareness onto this area. And imagine looking at this black space. Just have a feel for it. And if your eyes strain, then they're not the right place. You'll notice that the eyes magnetically get attracted to a point towards. When you start looking towards the middle of your eyes will float upwards. If you open a child's eyes while it's sleeping, this is where all the dreams happen, from this intuitive center. Tune into it. You'll notice you strain, relax. When you're dreaming, you don't strain. Bring your attention to the top of your head. Would say this is the unity of being. This is where the flower opens up, where the lotus flower blooms and opens up. The connection to the divine. Pituitary gland also located here. Connect to the center. Bring all your attention there. Don't look for anything. Just imagine the center of your head. Top of your head, center of your head. See if you can keep your concentration long enough at the center of your head. Now, while we did that exercise, you noticed that your thoughts were distracted. You didn't have time for many thoughts apart from then what is he talking about. Now, bring your awareness to your thoughts for a second. And just watch. Watch your thoughts. You can ask yourself this question, I wonder what I'll think of next. And watch what happens. And the question has the answer. The question always has the answer. I wonder what I will think of next. Who is I that's wondering what I will think of next? If you are your thoughts, then how can you say, I wonder what I'll think of next? So there's obviously a separation between the I and the thoughts. So you watch your thoughts and notice what happens. Thoughts don't seem to be coming much or at all when you watch them. See if you can find a gap between two thoughts. See if you can have two thoughts as you watch your thoughts. Notice the power of awareness and how centered you feel just by watching your thoughts. And there aren't many thoughts to watch. And the gap between two thoughts is your true nature, the stillness, the God within. The whole universe is there between the two thoughts. Stay in the gap. Feel that stillness inside of you. Then feel the energy from the top of your head. Let's follow it all the way back down to the tips of our feet. So take it from the top of your head, check in with that center, to your pineal gland, third eye, between your eyebrows. Check in with it. Just check in with it. Bring all your attention there. Just do it by feel. Your throat, your neck, check in. Make sure everything's aligned, loose. Back to your heart. Tune in with it, check in with it. All attention in your heart and nowhere else. Into your solar plexus. All your attention there. Check in. Into where your belly button, just below your belly button. Check in. Into your pelvic area, root chakra. Check in with it. Bring your awareness to your knees. Full attention to your knees, ankles, and to the tips of your toes again. Bring all your attention into your big toe. And you can take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and then you can open your eyes if you like. There's always depending on how many people on the call, that's how much more intense the vibration, whatever you want to call it, the energy that is felt in that quietness. I mean, I felt it. So did anybody else feel the depth of it? Yeah, was it just me deluding myself? You feel it? Yeah, you guys can't even comment. Well, I can see it on your faces. That's the thing, you can see it, you know? Just the way, who was it that says, Sharon, you see that? Something you can see. You just look at the person in this. You know, you say, you don't look so good today. And people say, what do you mean? Is my haircut? They're like, no. And women do this more than men, right? Women will say, you don't look so good today. They're not talking about your hairstyle or your skin complexion or your lipstick, right? Sorry, Ronald, yes.
As I told you quite some time ago, that I retired and my job consumed my life. I mean, literally. And now that I no longer work, this is what's left. So I'm open to all the things that I was not aware of or things that I ignored. And intuition is part of that, so relevant to me. So thank you for this opportunity this morning.
You're very welcome, Ronald. It is the only knowledge, as far as I'm concerned, not intuition in isolation, but everything else that we are other than thought and our jobs and our roles, spouse, mother, father, titles, right? Everyone in LinkedIn, massive titles. They think the longer the title, the more substantial they'll feel. And I don't blame them, because that's how we judge, right? But we're so much more than that, right? And I don't want us to make this into this. I like direct experience. The whole part of me going into Zen was teaching about direct experience. This is what I wanted to learn. Can I experience this directly? Don't tell me about it. If I can't experience it directly through that's what's called intuition, intelligence, intellect, right? It's all in you. Don't tell me about it. I want to know it from direct experience. And so everything has to be experienced. So I show people the way. Well, Rumi said so beautifully. He said, I can show you the way, but I can't take you there. Can't. Nobody can. Right? You got to take you there, because it's your journey. I mean, that's why you're created the way that you are. It's your own special mystery. You are the mystery that you have to unfold. I mean, if you can get this, you are a mystery in the present giving to you. And you have to unwrap this. That's your mystery. The tools and techniques are there. You need them, especially in a chaotic world. But open up your present. I don't want you to become somebody else's present. I don't want to be somebody else's present. I don't want to be this guy or this woman or that woman. I want to be, and it's not the ego me. You see, the West is dominated by the ego me. I want to be successful and powerful, and I can do whatever I want. That's all ego. That's great. Do whatever you want. That's no problem. All right. So guys, thank you for joining me. Yeah, if you're serious about taking this further, then join the Intuition Masterclass. And if you want to keep on coming for more information, by all means. And for the company, wonderful company of the people around us, it's very, very useful. And we have Uncle Ronald. Are you putting up your hand, Ronald? No, okay.
No, I'm merely waving at everyone, and so that's a blessing to be here.
Yeah, we all wave back. Yeah, it really is a blessing, and there's Otto, as we were saying, there's the energies that are going in one direction, and I tell you, I've never felt more alive in a long time. It's been a while now, and I had a great opening yesterday. I was in the middle of nature, like Sharon who said, yeah, it was a surreal experience, and yeah, I'd love you all to experience that surrealness, surreal, which is just, it is reality. What's happening in our mind is it's fine. By the way, nobody's here to deny the mind. Don't blame your thoughts, because that's how you got your jobs, right? Made your money, right? So you don't want to abandon thoughts. Thoughts are fine. Just don't let them control you. What do they say? Thoughts is an amazing servant, but a terrible master. So make your heart the master, make your thoughts the servant. but no need to abandon anything, because it's a great gift. All right, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see some gentlemen. You can see here, how many gentlemen do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Kevin, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. 5. Oh, Otto is it? Thank God, Otto. But you can see overwhelmingly, again, men need to tap into the intuition more, but women are, because women know. You see, women know. Women know, hang on, there's more that's going on here. Men are so stuck in there. What do you mean intuition? I don't feel it. Right? I'm generalizing, right? But women, they go, oh, there is something else going on here. They're already sensing something. That's why they want to investigate further. But a lot of the times, men are so far disconnected, and it's a shame, because we suffer so much in our heads. As Nietzsche said, when man is no longer at war, he turns on himself. Man alone in his thoughts. And that's why majority, I don't know, what's it, 70% of suicides are male, right? Because this guy alone with himself, not a good place to be. Yeah, but alone with your awareness and your intuition, oh yeah, that's beautiful space to be, right? So it's not about misunderstanding that. Sharon, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I think maybe it was Ron or Otto earlier was speaking about like wanting to trust their intuition more, right? Like they're aware that they're being nudged in a certain direction, but they're like, I don't know, right? And then the ego kind of jumping in and you're debating it, right? So I asked Spirit, I'm like, can you just give me a black and white, like if it's the truth, it's this, and if it's a lie, it's this. And so the arrangement we have is if I get an intuition, like a download, if it's the truth, I get full body chills. And if it's a lie, I vibrate like an old school. That's simple. There's no gray area. And so that's been very powerful for me. So it's like I just asked and they told me, or source told me, or spirit told me, this is how we're going to communicate. So that helped me trust. You know, so if I get a nudge to act like a chicken in the middle of a shopping mall, I'm doing it, because if I get the confirmation, it's like, maybe I need to look crazy for some reason right now. Okay, let's go. Because if I don't do it, that will happen.
Why not? Yeah, if that works for you, that's wonderful. It's just that truth and lies are subjective. There is no ultimate true.
Is it real or is it not? Right? Like whenever I'm feeling something or I'm knowing something, like someone says something to me and I know it's a lie, and I take that minute and it's like, if I get full body chills, that's spirit going.
Okay. Yeah. If it works, if that's you learning to, you're listening to yourself and figuring it out, that's great. Whatever works on that part. Good, Sharon. Thanks, Ronald, and then we'll end off.
Real quickly.
Yeah.
I needed to change the SIM card in my wife's phone. I've changed SIM cards before.
Yeah.
I struggled to replace the SIM card. And then I realized in a moment of intuition, Ron, the phone is inside of a rubber case. Remove the case so you can access the SIM card. Dope.
That helps. It usually does help, Ronald. Thank you, Ronald. I actually really loved the story you shared on the previous session about the man that running across the road. That was Sergio was raving about that. Yeah, it just blew his mind. Sergio, what did you say? Can you just share your line, because you said something so beautiful about acting and a story and about the authenticity of it. Sergio, would you mind just sharing that, what you said about Ronald's? If anybody didn't hear that, you can go watch the episode, the one before this one. Ronald spoke about. Okay, if you guys all want to hear it, Ronald. Okay, Sergio, maybe you can narrate the story.
Okay, it was when I was at drama school. We had obviously, different subjects, as it were, voice movement, and we had a movement teacher who said that he was going to take us out, to show us about myth and story. And there was a place in Covent Garden, I was going to say Camden Town, to the north of London. I don't know, Camden Market, and it's a very arty place. Now, what happened is there was a club there called the Kit Kat Club, and and there they did storytelling, and the only thing they actually served was hot chocolate. So, you know, the majority of us, you know, being in our early mid-20s, thought, you know, this is going to be a really crappy time. But they had storytellers from all over the world, and these storytellers, they're just fantastic. I mean, the way they physicalized it, but the power of the voice, and we were captivated, absolutely captivated by it, especially as, you know, the majority of us in kind of like in the Western world hadn't sat down for a story since, you know, what we call nursery, kindergarten, and I was captivated, and I thought I would never hear that again. I thought I would never hear that delivery, that calmness, that the authenticity, and I heard it in Ronald. I heard that in Ronald's story of the incident that happened at the I was at the crossroads, and it was absolutely enthralling. It was absolutely honest, and how can I say it? I keep on saying honesty. There was no. It was just so.
It
Just to say honest.
It wasn't acting, right? It wasn't acting.
No, it was a simple story, but for an incident, then all of a sudden it wasn't, because it was something on, how can I say, it was like what's his name again, saying it's oceanic in the elms. It was suddenly very large because it was such a simple incident, as it were, but it wasn't simple at all. I don't know. I know I'm not making myself clear. I was absolutely moved by.
I think, Sergio, what you were saying as well is that the story does not have to be delivered in some. Of course, Ronald was not acting for us. He was simply stating what is a normal conversation. There was a man going across the road, and something said to me, "Grab his arm." That was the gist of it. And in that simplicity, you were enthralled at this thing, not because of the complexity of the story, but because of the simplicity. But also there was another worldness to it that we know so intrinsically with us. That's why when we watch these sci-fi movies or whatever, visiting another galaxy, I remember seeing this one with the American actress when she turns up on this other planet and there's an ocean there, forget her name, blonde hair, short blonde hair, old movie. Contact. You remember Contact?
Jodie Foster.
Right?
Jodie Foster.
There was this. Yeah. Who was that woman actress?
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie
Amazing,
Foster.
right? And that scene, I mean, you were captivated. Now, I think that captivatedness that you feel is not because you were transported to their story. You were transported to your story. You were just so relatable to what's happened that you felt before, a truth that you've known before, right? And that's what, like Eckhart Tolle was saying, consciousness of God, whatever, passes through these movies. The one that came out recently with Matthew McConaughey, that was sensational. The one, Maria, what do you listen to all the time? The music track from, what was that movie called? Interstellar. I mean, that scene with the child, my God. But you see, it's not their story, it's your story, and that's when it connects so deeply. So there's a higher truth to you. There is a knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt. But if the mind is constantly chatting, and you're constantly suffering, and you're constantly avoiding pain because you're working to pay the job and to do this and to do that, right? You can't listen to that voice. And then we download the meditation app. Then we go for walks on the beach. We're missing the point. It has to be the other way around. You connect to source, the oneness within you, then you go out and play the game of Maya, as the Hindus call it, the illusion. Everything's an illusion. but you don't lead and then come and do meditation. You're working with it backwards, right? And that's what, well, I'm not saying all of you, but I believe you start off with your essential nature, then go out into the world with this essential nature, not to become some great spiritual master, but there is such a knowing within you and such a certainty with every step that you take and every word that you utter that you feel at ease. So it's purely for you. It's nothing to do with becoming some great spiritual master, which you will end up becoming anyway. But that's for them to decide, not for us to decide. Guys,
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Rashad. Thank you so much. Maria, Otto, thank you.
Sergio,
And
did you want to say
Sharon,
something
thank
else?
you.
I was just going to say, it's, you know, this is like, it's storytelling. I mean, you know, the Kit Kat Club has closed down, and you know, it's a shame because it's something that we need in, you know, developed society, and that, you know, the kind of like, how can I say, the more primitive societies, you know, still have the troubadours, the, you know,
Sergio, I'm interviewing you, by the way, on this topic because you've got such a wealth of knowledge about it. So I just want to let people get on because people got like so many quotes to go on. But yeah, the power of myth, Joseph Campbell. There are stories that have been told since time immemorial. Fairies, angels, whatever they were, they can't all be lies, right? And we know as a child that but this is an entire topic that is so fascinating. Sergio will explore that. Guys, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you for the time. Sergio, sorry if I cut you off, but we'll explore this topic.
Thank you,
and we'll see you guys either on the masterclass or on the next call. All right.
Thank you. It's been great.
Take care,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you.
Great to meet
Thank
you guys.
you.
Thank
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone, bye-bye. Thank you, Richard.
Yes, thank you, Rashad
Welcome.
and Otto and
Thank you, Rona. Love
Maria
you.
and everyone. Thank you. God love you too.
Love you.
So good to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Good.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
God
stay
bless.
safe.
God bless.
Bye-bye and God
Bye-bye.
bless.
Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too.